The history of our story begins long ago, about 3 billion years in the past, when we existed as tiny atoms floating in the primordial petri dish of the world. Fast forward to around 6 million years ago, and the first hominids, the family of primates that includes humans, began to emerge. By 1.9 million years ago, Homo erectus became the first species to leave Africa and explore other regions of the world, possessing larger brains than their primate ancestors. Approximately 400,000 years ago, evidence of Neanderthals appears, with bodies adapted to the cold climates of Europe and Western Asia, and facial features remarkably similar to those of modern humans. Then came us, Homo sapiens, the only surviving species of the Homo genus. But how did we rise to global dominance? The key to this transformation lies in the development of civilization. Our story continues in the fertile lands of Mesopotamia around 4000 BC, in the Sumerian city of Uruk, located between the Great Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Unlike their ancestors, who relied on hunting and gathering, the citizens of Uruk developed agriculture, harvesting cereal grains such as wheat and barley. However, turning these grains into edible food required significant labor. Early on, they used a hand mill, a simple invention consisting of 2 stones. Grains were crushed between the stones, with the resulting flour collected and stored for future use. This marked the beginning of a pivotal shift in human history. This was the start of something great. This complex and labor-intensive process marked the first example of agriculture in the modern world. No longer dependent on hunting animals or foraging for berries, humans began to use their ingenuity to create their own food sources. This shift allowed the city of Uruk to flourish, growing into a bustling place with over 50,000 residents. However, this transformation also brought changes to the human body. The move from a nomadic lifestyle to one based on farming had significant effects on physical health and daily life. The Ptolemies in Egypt, founded by Ptolemy I, who turned Egypt into a center of learning and culture, establishing the famous Library of Alexandria. The Seleucids in the east, founded by Seleucus I, controlled vast territories from Turkey to Pakistan. Their empire reached its zenith under Antiochus III. The Antigonids in Greece and Macedonia, who struggled to maintain power as the Greek world declined. These Hellenistic kingdoms flourished for a time, but eventually succumbed to the growing power of Rome. The rise of Rome, however, would involve facing another formidable adversary, Carthage, which would lead to the Punic Wars. Rome and Carthage both coveted the city-state of Messina on the island of Sicily, which was crucial for establishing dominance in the Mediterranean. This rivalry sparked the First Punic War, prolonged conflict that lasted 20 years. The war concluded in 241 BCE with the defeat of Carthage and the signing of the Treaty of Lutatius. However, this peace was short-lived, and by 218 BCE, the Second Punic War erupted. During this war, the Carthaginian general Hannibal famously invaded Italy, leading his troops, which included war elephants, in an audacious campaign against Rome. Hannibal achieved several early victories, notably at the Battle of Cannae in 216 BCE. However, the tide of war shifted when the Roman general Publius Cornelius Scipio Africanus confronted Hannibal at the Battle of Zama in 202 BCE, where Hannibal was decisively defeated. This defeat effectively ended the Carthaginian Empire, forcing Carthage to surrender its territories to Rome and confirming Rome's supremacy in the western Mediterranean. In the east, after the Warring States period, Qin Shi Huang unified China under the Qin dynasty from 221 to 206 BCE. His government implemented strict legalist principles, dividing the empire into 36 commanderies, each overseen by a governor and military commander. The Qin dynasty is often associated with harsh laws and severe punishments, reflecting the belief in the inherent selfishness of humans. However, after the death of Qin Shi Huang, China descended into chaos. Following this turmoil, Liu Bang, a former peasant, led a revolt against the Qin and became the founder of the Han dynasty 206 to 195 BCE. Liu Bang adopted Confucianism as the guiding philosophy of his reign, promoting values of moderation, virtue, and piety. Under the Han, the production of silk increased dramatically, leading to lucrative trade routes. In 138 BCE, Emperor Wu sent an envoy to establish contacts with cultures in Central Asia and the Mediterranean, paving the way for the Silk Road. However, initial attempts to communicate with Rome faced obstacles. In 97 BC, Ambassador Zhang Qian was sent to deliver gifts of silk to Rome, but could only reach Mesopotamia. The Parthians, who dominated the region at that time, misinformed Zhang about the length of the journey, hoping to maintain their status as intermediaries between Rome and China. By 86 BC, weakened from previous conquests, Greece became a target for Roman expansion. General Lucius Cornelius Sulla led a campaign against Athens, besieging the city for several months. Once captured, Sulla's forces pillaged Athens, destroying numerous cultural treasures, marking a significant step in cementing Rome's status as a superpower. In 63 BC, General Pompey was tasked with capturing Jerusalem and the surrounding Galilee region. The Romans swiftly gained control, further expanding their territory. Meanwhile, in 58 BC, Julius Caesar was appointed governor of the province of Cisalpine Gaul, with the mission of conquering the remaining Celtic tribes in the region, which corresponds to present-day France, Belgium, and parts of Switzerland, Germany, and Italy. The Gauls fiercely resisted Roman domination, valuing their independence and cultural identity. Caesar's campaigns would lead to significant changes in the region, marking the beginning of Roman dominance over vast territories in Western Europe. In 52 BC, as Julius Caesar advanced his troops toward Alesia, a decisive confrontation loomed. The Gallic leaders Vercingetorix and Jetor had fortified the town with double walls and ditches, amassing a substantial force of Gallic warriors inside. In contrast, Caesar commanded a formidable Roman army encamped outside the town. Recognizing that a direct assault would be too complex, Caesar opted for a siege strategy. He ordered the construction of fortifications, including a circumvallation wall encircling Alesia, along with an outward-facing wall to defend against any Gallic attempts to break free. Over several weeks, the siege unfolded with brutal intensity, leading to heavy losses on both sides. The Gallic defenders launched multiple attempts to escape, but each was repelled by Caesar's forces. The tide of battle turned when a second Gallic army, led by Commius, sought to relieve Alesia. Caesar swiftly dispatched a detachment to intercept these reinforcements. Following a fierce confrontation, the Romans emerged victorious, further isolating Vercingetorix. Facing starvation and defeat, Vercingetorix ultimately surrendered, presenting himself as a prisoner to Caesar. This marked the effective end of organized Gallic resistance to Roman authority. In the subsequent 2 years, Caesar continued his campaign across the Gallic territories, integrating them into the Roman Empire and granting citizenship to many of its inhabitants. However, his rising popularity and military success began to alarm the Roman Senate, which viewed him as a threat to their authority. They demanded he disband his army and resign his command, or risk being declared an enemy of the state. Faced with this ultimatum, Caesar had a critical decision to make: adhere to the Senate's demands, or initiate a civil war. Roman law prohibited any general from crossing the Rubicon River with a standing army without Senate permission. Ignoring this directive would be tantamount to treason. By choosing to cross the Rubicon, Caesar sealed his fate, igniting a civil war that would dramatically reshape Roman history. As he marched his army over the Rubicon, the phrase, "the die is cast," symbolized his commitment to battle. Subsequent clashes at Corfinium and Pharsalus showcased Caesar's military genius. Despite being outnumbered, he leveraged superior tactics to claim victory over his son-in-law, Pompey, who commanded the opposing forces. Caesar's triumph forced Pompey to retreat, allowing Caesar to declare himself the leader of Rome. Upon returning to Rome, Caesar was met with overwhelming support, with crowds chanting, "Hail Caesar!" His newfound power led to his appointment as dictator for life. He immediately initiated reforms to enhance the lives of ordinary Romans and consolidate governmental power. Infrastructure projects flourished, including roads, bridges, and aqueducts, which facilitated trade and communication across the empire. Caesar also enacted political reforms, granting citizenship to various groups, and promoting the Latin language and Roman culture. He established the Julian calendar, which laid the foundation for the modern calendar we use today. Despite his accomplishments, Caesar's reign was tragically short-lived. In 44 BC, he was assassinated by a faction of senators, including Cassius and Brutus. This assassination plunged Rome into chaos, with various factions vying for control. Amid this turmoil, Octavian, Caesar's 18-year-old adopted son, returned to Rome to claim his inheritance and assert his political influence. Octavian swiftly allied with Mark Antony, Caesar's loyal lieutenant. Together, they confronted and defeated Caesar's assassins at the Battle of Philippi in 42 BC, marking a pivotal moment in the ongoing struggle for power within the Roman Empire. This victory paved the way for Octavian's rise, ultimately leading to his emergence as the first emperor of Rome, marking the end of the Republic and the dawn of the imperial era. Reporting on citizens, this atmosphere of suspicion fostered a climate of fear within the empire. During Tiberius's reign, the Roman Empire faced significant challenges, including political unrest and dissent against imperial authority. As Jesus grew into adulthood, his ministry began to flourish, attracting more followers who were captivated by his teachings of love, forgiveness, and salvation. His popularity posed a challenge to the established religious authorities, who viewed him as a potential disruptor of the social order and a threat to their own influence. The Jewish leaders, alarmed by the growing number of his followers, plotted to silence him. Subscribe my YouTube channel, press the bell icon, like the video, and share with others.